joining us at our Back to Business fireside chat. I'm going to jump right in because I know you've squeezed us in between a couple of meetings. And I'm going to start off with, can you share a little bit with us what your background is in events and kind of some of the things you do?
Hi, JP. Thanks for having me. I have worked in the events industry for the last 11 years in the religious market. Prior to that, my background is a business degree, and accounting is actually my background is in accounting up through the multi-location controller level. So this was kind of a totally flip for me, going from accounting to events, but I really love it. I really enjoyed the opportunity. I have been a member of MPI for 9 years. I began the adventure in the role of Director of Regional Conference, which I was involved with forming the alliance between the Indiana and Wisconsin chapters, which then formed the Great Lakes Education Summit that we have on an annual basis in November. After that, I became the VP of Finance and did that for a couple of years. I did achieve the highest sponsorship dollar amount, I believe, to date for the chapter when I was VP of Finance. So that's kind of exciting. And then I also went to the VP of LEAD, which is Leadership Exploration and Development. And while I was in that role, we instituted the mentorship program, Mentor Cafe, scholarship program. And currently I am the president-elect. I will start the presidency in July of this year. Nice. So that is my background in events and with MPI.
That's awesome. It's funny when you said it's a little bit of a shift from accounting to events. It never ceases to amaze me. Like, this about event people, but I think everyone just figures, oh, event people, they're creative, they're this, they do party planning, and they forget or don't actually understand the business acumen that is required. Most event people, yes, they're picking your colors and your design flow and the rest, but they're also behind the scenes doing RFPs and managing budgets and doing a great deal of accounting, even if that's not their primary role. So it's, to me, that's not that far of a leap. I mean, other than one is very structured and the other kind of starts with structure, and then we all know behind the scenes anything can happen. But so, you mentioned MPI. Congratulations. Like you said, July 1, you start your actual role as president. MPI. What is MPI? What does the M, the P, and the I stand for?
MPI is Meeting Professionals International. It is a global organization throughout the United States, Canada, Europe, Central and Latin America as well, Asia as well.
I didn't know it was that big.
Yeah, it is quite large.
Yeah.
Their vision, MPI will lead and empower meeting and event community to change the world. That's always, I know when I went to WEC, I've only been one time, but that's their World Education Summit. Mm-hmm. And they say that a lot. When we meet, we change the world. That's a big, that's right. Their slogan. And they do, there's a lot of changes being made because of the organization and the advocacy and so forth that they do for the community. Their mission, MPI will connect the global meeting and event community to learn, innovate, collaborate, and advocate. Mm-hmm. They also speak of, they have actionable education, a career home. They have thought leadership and industry advocacy. So yes, it is the go-to organization for the event industry. And I am really happy to be a part of this. It is a very large organization, though.
It's
I think
huge.
Sometimes people think it's just, a few chapters in the United States, but it's not. It's very large.
Well, and I want, I was I'm looking at my second screen because I have the website up. So anybody who wants to check out MPI, and then, we're in Michigan, but there's chapters all over the country and obviously the world. So if you go to mpi.org, right, the first thing you see on the starting from the left over is membership, and you can find kind of where it is and what it does. But you've mentioned a couple of things now that I'm really interested in. Mentorship program and then education. I mean, I think and please fill in the blanks if I'm kind of breezing over it. I think we know that organizations like this network, we all get in a room. The purpose of this conversation, we used to do this in a panel format. Now we're doing it in a fireside chat format, and we go back and forth. Um, Depending, because everyone's getting busy again, things are opening up, so this just makes it easier to connect, right? But it's just, so aside from the networking piece, that I find that the education piece and the mentoring piece to be really impactful. Like I said, you and I were talking earlier before this, and I didn't finish my sentence because I've had too much coffee. But trying to replicate conversations like we're an event and we're doing the load in. I get it. I repeat it ad nauseum to my team, the people that I work with, that were, the stuff where I learn things is when we're all in a room together. And I always did it. There was a very specific place I used to work. We used to do these massive load ins, and everything from AV companies to catering to, we have a coworker now who, Jen, she introduced our organization. We knew about MPI, but we weren't as intimately aware of it as we are now, because I find that the members are huge advocates for what it does. Can you talk a little bit more about like what that is? I know CE credits are a big thing. Can you talk a little bit more about what the educational piece is?
Yes. We offer, generally there's 6 different events throughout the year where we have a speaker come in. Sometimes
Mhm.
it's meeting specifics, a part of the planning, like maybe risk management or event design or whatever, something that event professionals would be interested in. There's also leadership development too. Some of the chats are those, but
Right.
we typically offer in September, usually September, October, December, February, April.
Mhm.
And then we also have the Great Lakes Education Summit that is in November that alternates between the 3 states. And those all have educational opportunities throughout the year in the Michigan chapter.
That's right.
So,
And
and
where is that located this year? You don't have to be specifics, but like what part of, like what city, do you know?
which one? The Great Lakes Education?
Yeah.
Yes. That one will be in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. We were in Fort Wayne last year. This year in 2022 we'll be in Wisconsin, and then back in Michigan in 23. That's
Very
how it works.
cool. That's a
Indiana,
really,
Wisconsin.
I love that. I love that interaction with the Midwest states. I mean, obviously for us because of where we're at, and for those, again, to kind of reiterate that there are chapters across the country for anyone joining us, nationally here. But I keep looking at my notes because I have a question, and you may not know the answer to this because I don't know, as the greater MPI organization. I saw that there were publications. Some people are members, some people are not members. You can come to events if you're a non-member, correct? If you're
Yes,
just,
that is correct.
because I think that's kind of a misnomer for some people that, well, if I'm not a member, I can't. There's still benefit. I mean, you get greater benefits when you are a member, but it's still, if you want to test things out. But I know that there's publications. Do you know, and again, I kind of throwing a curveball at you. Do you know some of those publications? Like I saw some of them briefly online. Do you have to have a membership number to be able to get some of that information? Do you know that? I mean, and if you don't, again, it's mpi.org, but I was wondering if you happen to have that information handy.
There is the Meeting Professional. That's their publication that is digital.
Okay.
Um, I believe that comes from Global. I believe that is sent out to membership. If it's on the website, of course, you could access that as well if you went
Sure.
on there.
Yeah,
But yeah, that is the one that comes out through Global MPI Global.
got it.
There are also newsletters and other things that come out, but that would be to members.
Great.
Yeah, there is also an MPI foundation. If somebody is looking to join the chapter and
Mhm.
have financial concerns, there is the MPI foundation that does help a lot of people with dues, or if you want to attend like WEC, the World Education Summit, or something else. They do help a lot of our members.
Well, I think that's a
Um,
pretty critical point because, obviously we're still kind of in a funny space in events right now, and it's, ad nauseum conversations about COVID, because I'm going to hit you with those questions next, kind of like how you have been impacted, if you've been impacted, and some of the things that you've, is your membership base, did you see it dwindle, or even just engagement? Because I know that, like, I had to shift. I used to run a facility, and that facility shut down, so there was no need to have a person like me in that place. And so there are financial concerns, I think, for some folks still. So I think, thank you for sharing that, because I didn't know that. So knowing that there's a foundation that can potentially assist, because I do think that there are people, I'll say this, our CEO Len, I think you met him at the last meeting. If you didn't, it's Len Gauger. We were just in a meeting the other day, and we're all very aware of what's going on in the industry. Obviously, we're a platform, and we're talking to event folks every day. We are event folks, but and Len is really close and aware to what's going on. But I think he was impacted because it was one of those first kind of back in the back in person events and talking to people. And he's like, I knew that there was a situation, but just when you sit down and talk to each individual and everyone's got a story, he was impacted by that in a real way. And so we all know it, he knows it, and I think it's super important to know that there are those kinds of support things. And then even the whole point of having an organizations like yours is for support and networking and, like you said, mentoring, which I find really interesting, that aspect of it. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Is there kind of a, you said you started some mentoring programs with them. What was that like?
We had that was pre-COVID.
Mhm.
We set up this mentor cafe where we would have a leadership topic. Sometimes our speakers would do a piece. It was prior to our main program,
Mhm.
and there was some interaction with the mentors and mentees. Um, we would pair people together, and then they would meet throughout the year to get to know each other, maybe to assist in their career level.
Mhm.
I know at least mine, the first year, it was a young gal, and she ended up going through and getting her CMP. So we talked
Very
through
cool.
that, and it's kind of like that. And then another gal that I was paired up with, she ended up going into a different industry because
Right.
of COVID. So it's just encouraging. It's a great relationship. It can be somebody that's young and
Mhm.
new to working, or it
Mhm.
could be somebody new to the industry, or just
Yeah.
somebody that maybe is looking to make a change. And there's been a lot of changes, of course, during COVID and the
Right.
pandemic that we're still in.
Right. I
But I
know.
guess we're coming out at some point. But
I know. No, I think you make
anyway,
a good
yeah.
point. It doesn't have to necessarily be someone coming right out of school or at the beginning of their career. I know, I'm not at the beginning of my career.
Me either.
But right? And I think it's, when you mention what you do or you talk about your history a little bit, I get a lot of questions. I still talk to a lot of interns that I've worked with over time, especially when the pandemic hit. I've got friends, you get those emergency text messages, or people, even just the referral base, like, hey, do you know someone that does this? And I think that opportunity to be in the room with like-minded people that understand what the industry is super critical and incredibly helpful, especially now we're all still sort of spread out. We're all
Mhm.
still, are we doing live? Are we not doing live? Like, ugh, the world's kind of bananas still. Um, are you did you see a decline in your membership, or did you see people just sort of pause? I mean, are you getting interest again? You kind of, where's your headspace around, okay, what now? Things are, and like, you and I are in Michigan, so we know what's happening right now with masks and not masks and the rest.
Right. We've had about a 25% reduction in our
Mm.
membership now versus pre-COVID, but we are continuing to get new members. We
Mm.
just had our newsletter went out, and I think there was a list of maybe 10 people that joined. So we are getting people are slowly getting back into
Yeah.
everything and joining and seeing the value in the organization.
Well, I mean,
But some of the people maybe aren't in. Some of our members had to move to a different industry because of the pandemic. So
yeah,
some of them are that, or maybe financial. It could be a variety of things.
right.
It's not being approved or
Well, and
whatever.
it's marketing's momentum. It's everyone's focus went one very specific way, and you don't the conversation isn't what it was. There's so many other things sort of blurring messages. So, um, at a minimum, I think the most valuable thing, and you may disagree, is just again being in the room with people that do what you do, that have been through the things that you've been. Because there are some people, yeah, everyone was impacted, but everyone was impacted differently. But I think as an industry, I've been in the room with some other events, but and you just kind of do this when you're in the room with people that know what you do, and you don't have to explain yourself, and they're like, right. So I mean,
Yeah,
it's one of those. But I do want to. I know we're coming close to our end of time. I want to open the floor to you to talk about some of the events that you do. You had alluded to them when we were backstage earlier, and I know you've got some coming up. I know our team's excited about some stuff coming in April, and just some of the things you guys have on your event list.
sure. We're really excited about our next event, which will be in Ann Arbor, which should be pretty central for most people. It will be at the Ann Arbor Marriott, Ypsilanti. I think it's right on Eastern's campus. Actually, it's
Okay.
in
Oh, great.
it's
Yeah.
in Ypsilanti. So that will be kind of a. It should. I think it's about maybe 10 to 2:30, something like that for the day. And then we also have our celebration, which is our end of the year gala. That will actually be up in Traverse City at Grand Traverse Resort on June 9th. And then we are partnering with Meetings Michigan. They will be having an expo that next day. So it's kind of nice because we'll have the celebration event in the evening. And
Right.
then the next day, there'll be a big exhibit hall. So a lot of opportunities to connect both days. So that's
Right.
kind of a great thing.
So
So that's what
meetings,
we have.
exhibitor booths, just a whole bunch of things for people to kind of get in the room and talk shop and
And they're
connect.
also having, I think they're also having a speaker as well. So there'll be education, fun, like an awards gala. So it'll be fun with that, plus a time to connect with all the exhibitors throughout the
Right.
state.
A
You
little
know,
business and
yeah,
pleasure. Perfect.
some
That's
fun,
awesome.
business in the front, party in the back, whatever,
Right? Oh god.
something like that.
I love it.
But yeah, we're
Anyway,
excited because we've slowly been getting back into the in
yeah,
person for the chapter, and this is kind of going to be, these are the last two events of our year that are going to, we hope that will be very well attended. Generally, when we're in the Ann Arbor area, it is very well attended. And
great.
then with coupling with Meetings Michigan for the Traverse City event, we hope that that will be very well attended as well. So we're very excited about both of those.
Well, that it sounds great. I just think it's a huge opportunity for people to sort of get back together and start talking about lessons learned and best practice for certain ways of going to task have completely changed. And I think the best way for all of us to get better and continue to improve what we do is to just sort of put our heads together and start sharing our stories, right? So
Right, right.
anyway, I want to thank you so much. Congratulations on becoming the new president of MPI Michigan chapter. And I am going to see you in Ann Arbor.
Thank you so much, JP. Have a great day.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye bye.